Concentration is the root of all the higher abilities in man. Bruce Lee. That's right, today we're talking about concentration 2. Hit the theme. Hello and welcome to another episode of SchuFu Chemin at ya. I'm your host Shu, and with me as always is Fu.
What up, nerds?
So Fu, yesterday we talked about concentration.
And you know what? Celine Dion was wrong. My heart can't go on. So let's get started. Concentration 2, a lesson from the solutions unit. Percent by mass. We can express concentration in ways other than molarity. Percent by mass is like the percent composition formula, just remixed for solutions. From table T, percent by mass equals the mass of solute over the mass of solution times 100. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have an example problem here. Shu, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, what is the percent by mass of sodium hydroxide if 2.50 grams of NaOH are added to 50 grams of H2O? All right, we're gonna do FSA, so what's our formula?
All right, so our formula would be percent mass, and that's equal to the mass of the solute. I'm gonna do some abbreviating. So SOL for solute. And then it's divided by the mass of solution. I'm gonna do SOL apostrophe N for solution. And then that whole thing is times 100.
Okay, now what is the question asking for?
Looks like we wanna find the percent by mass. So I'm circling that.
Perfect, let's substitute this.
All right. So percent mass equals, the mass of the solute would be what I'm dissolving. That looks like sodium hydroxide. I've got 2.50 grams of sodium hydroxide. So I'm putting in the 2.50 grams. And then divided by, I've got 50 grams of water. So does that go in for my mass of solution?
Well, is water a solution?
No, I guess not. That's just the solvent, right?
Okay, so this is mass. Grams of water and grams of your NaOH, they're both grams. So what do we have to do to get our mass of solution?
So we've got to add these two numbers together because we want the mass of the entire solution, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so that would be, that's easy to do. It's 52.50 grams, not 50 grams.
Okay.
And then I can't forget the times 100.
Good, glad you remembered.
All right, so for my answer, I just have to divide one by the other, then multiply by 100. Looks like I'm gonna use 3 sig figs, right?
Sounds good.
And I get 4.76% would be my final unit because the grams cancel out and I multiplied by 100.
Sounds good.
Percent by volume. When two miscible liquids form a solution, its concentration is often expressed as percent by volume. For example, in 70% isopropyl alcohol, 70% of the volume is alcohol and 30% of the volume is water. The formula found on table T is as follows. Percent by volume equals the volume of solute over the volume of solution times 100. All right, we're gonna do another example. Fu, are you ready?
I am.
All right, what is the percent by volume of ethanol if 50.0 milliliters of ethanol is diluted to a total volume of 300 milliliters? As always, we're gonna do this FSA, so Fu, what formula is appropriate here?
We're gonna use the percent by volume formula.
Correct.
So percent volume equals the volume solute divided by the volume of the solution.
Don't forget that times 100.
Thank you, times 100.
All right, so what are we trying to find in this question?
We're trying to find the percent by volume.
All right, so we can circle that everywhere, good.
Okay.
Let's substitute in our numbers.
All right, so percent volume equals, all right, so the volume of the solute is, looks like it's the ethanol, right?
Correct,
the smaller
good.
one, okay, so 50 milliliters, good, okay. Volume of solution. Am I adding these together like in the last problem?
We gotta be careful because if you read carefully, it says that the ethanol is diluted to a total volume of 300. So they're actually giving you the total volume right in the problem.
Oh, okay. So if this said volume of water, then I'd add it.
Exactly.
This is telling me totals. Okay, so it's just 300.
Good.
And times 100.
Looks like we're ready to solve.
Okay, and it looks like I've got 3 sig figs on both those. So my answer is percent volume equals 16.7%.
Looks good.
Parts per million, or abbreviated ppm. It's similar to percent by mass, but it's used for very dilute solutions. For example, chlorine is used to disinfect pools with only 2 grams needed per 1 million grams of pool water, which would be a very low number if expressed in molarity or percent by mass. Now the formula looks very similar to percent by mass, but you'll see a little difference at the end. Parts per million is equal to the mass of the solute divided by the mass of the solution, but times 1 million. All right, let's do an example. Shu, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, approximately 0.0043 grams of O2 can be dissolved in 100 grams of water at 20 degrees Celsius. What is this in parts per million? All right, Shu, like always, we're gonna do FSA. So what is our formula?
ppm equals the mass of the solute divided by the mass of solution, and then times 1 million. That's a lot of zeros, right?
It is.
So 6 zeros.
It is. All right, so what are we solving for?
Let's see, it says, what is this in ppm? So it looks like I'm solving for parts per million.
All right, let's substitute the rest of this equation.
All right, well, my solute would be the oxygen right here. So ppm equals 0.0043 grams, not a lot of grams. And I want to divide that by, I need the total mass of the solution. It just says 100 grams of water here.
All right, so like our other example, what are we going to do when we see just our solvent like water?
Okay, so we'd want to add the two together.
That's correct.
Probably doesn't make too much of a difference, but we still want to be technically correct, right? All right, times 1 million.
Okay, so all we got to do is plug it in. Let's get our answer.
All right, so my answer for ppm looks like we've got 2 sig figs. It's the least number of sig figs from the 0.0043. Those zeros to the left don't count as significant figures. So I would get 43, and then my unit would just be ppm, right?
Yeah, you can say ppm for parts per million.
Looks good. Parts per billion, or ppb, for extremely dilute solutions. For example, the federal government limits arsenic in drinking water to 10 ppb.
We have tap waters from all across the country. Tap waters from all across the country. Let's start with something from Colorado.
Extremely dilute.
This contains an amount of lead that is well within what standard limits deem drinkable.
Does anybody want to drink lead? Would you want to drink lead? Fresh upper lead!
Extremely dilute.
Fresh upper lead.
The formula is very similar to parts per million. Parts per billion equals the mass of the solute over the mass of the solution times 1 billion. You try. 0.50 grams of NaBr is dissolved in 12.00 grams of water. Express the concentration in A, percent by mass, B, ppm, and C, ppb. Make sure to show your work FSA, showing units and sig figs. Well, that's gonna do it for today's episode on Concentration 2.
Later, nerds!
Promotional consideration provided by...
Other moving companies runs up there with something to prove? Don't just stand there.
Just bust the move.